Okay, this is part 2 of homework 8. Here the addition we made is adding a car sensor in the north-south direction, and this sensor comes into play when we are in state 3, which is green in the east-west direction, and we only move to state 4, or stop the green in the east-west direction, when we have noticed that there is a car waiting in the north-south direction. So if we're in the east-west direction green, and there's no car waiting in the north-south direction, then we continue to loop in the green. However, in the car north-south direction, if there's a car, then we go ahead and go to the next state. So let's go over to the VHDL and check out where we implemented this. First, in state 0, again, we have if there's a car in the east-west direction, then we move from state 0 to state 1, which begins going to the yellow of the north-south direction. Then also both lights are red at one point before switching to green. Okay, so the change exists here, which is in state 3. State 3 is if the light is green in the east-west direction. And while we're in this state, we're checking north-south, and we state that if there is a car sensed in the north-south direction, if there is no car sensed in the north-south direction, right here, 0, then we stay in the state. However, if we do sense that there is a car, or a car NS equals 1 in the north-south direction, then we go to state 4, which begins changing the east-west lights to yellow. So let's go ahead and simulate this and see how it's implemented to see the functionality. Okay, I'm gonna have to put my phone down for a second to drag these over. Alright, so we got these dragged over. Okay, let's go ahead and click through a couple times. Alright, I think that's good enough for now. Okay, so first we see that north-south is green, east-west is red, and we go through a rising clock edge where neither sensor is 1, or the east-west, which is the only one affecting it in this state, is 0. So no effect here. We can look at the next rising clock edge, and what do we see? We see that east-west equals 1, so we should go to state 2 or 1, from state 0 to state 1, which happens. North-south turns yellow, and then next rising clock edge is right here, and we see that north-south turns red. Okay, so let's see what happens now. We can go to the next rising clock edge. We got a rising clock edge here, and then east-west. Well, we go to the next rising clock edge, and we see that east-west direction becomes green, so the cars are moving in the east-west direction. Also, if we notice that the north-south sensor is 1, so this should trigger it to cycle over to the next one, but we haven't experienced the rising clock edge yet while it's 1 and east-west is 0. However, when we have another rising clock edge right here, we see that the north-south sensor is 1, meaning that we have a car waiting in the north-south direction, which go ahead and changes the state and causes the east-west light to be yellow. And finally, east light becomes red, and we go back to the initial state at the next rising clock cycle. And then again, we have this impacting it and changing it, the north-south to yellow. Also, I'm gonna keep going through until we get a reset. Alright, so get a reset here, right here actually, and it changes back to state 0, which is correct.